What's happening is that you're making yourself poorer because you just spent money on something that doesn't exist. You spent 660 getting a phone, but you spent 440 just making a donation. Do you understand? Right? So you literally you took your black wealth and your wealth goes down because now you're $440 poorer than you were before, and somebody else is $440 richer because wealth is kind of a zero sum game a lot of times, right? Money goes out of one person's pocket and goes into another person's pocket. And so the way to balance that might have been to buy you some Apple stock every time you bought an iPhone. So let me show you Apple stock over the last 5 years. Just the last 5 years. This is just since the pandemic. Pandemic was yesterday, it seems like. Anybody feel like the pandemic just happened? Like we just got out of that thing? Right now, Apple stocks are 203. It's basically more than doubled since the pandemic. So if you had simply just bought or as much, spent some money on Apple stock, a consistent amount of money over that time, your money would have more than doubled. It was $84 in 2020. So that's not quite triple, but about 350% ROI, something like that. You go back and you look at this, if you really want to feel bad, look at this. Go back to '06, about '06, '07, when the first iPhone came out. Apple stock was $2.37 on a split adjusted basis. So if you had simply bought Apple stock with your iPhone every time you went to the Apple store, bought some Apple stock to go with it, you would be very, very rich right now. That's literally about one hundredth, a little bit less, more than one hundredth of the price now. Now, if you were really a visionary and you knew about Apple in 1997, how many of you were alive in 1997? How many of you were like teenagers or like had money in 1997, like enough money to go to buy, I don't know, like a cheeseburger? How many of you had some kind of money in your pocket in 1997? How many of you knew about Apple in 1997? Did anybody know about Apple in 1997? Or was this a company that just didn't exist in your world and just recently appeared? You just noticed Apple. Now, if you say that, then you're lying to me. I know you're lying. So stop lying. Don't be lying on no Sunday because you know as well as I do that if you and I go back to October 31st, 1997, I remember I had a best friend that used to buy an Apple laptop like every time a new one came out. He would buy the new iMacs and stuff because he's a graphic designer. And back then, on a split adjusted basis, I could have grabbed tons of that stock for 15 cents. There was a million things I spent 15 cents on. 15 cents wasn't nothing in 1997. It ain't nothing now. There's a million times I spent that 15 damn cents, and I look at that and I say, "Oh Lord Jesus, if I had bought 1,000 shares of that Apple stock at that time, it would be worth an ungodly amount of money." And here's the thing: if you really are smart and you make it into an annuity, you make it into a habit. Remember, culture comes from habits. So you build a culture around this idea of consistently investing. So I'm not going to do it one time. I'm not going to just bless myself once. I'm going to bless myself repeatedly. See, blessings don't just come from God. Blessings come from God through you. You bless yourself. If I had blessed myself and blessed my family consistently by buying Apple stock regularly and among other stocks, I would probably you're talking about millions and millions of dollars. Okay. So don't you dare tell me that me being black means I'm supposed to be broke. Don't you dare tell me that blackness is somehow correlated to poverty because that is not true. Anybody who says that to you is a liar and they're not your friend and they're not empowering you. They don't want you to succeed. All right. Here's a few other crazy stats about Apple that I think everybody should know. Over 2.3 billion iPhones have been sold since 2007, and that's one out of every three people on the planet. Apple has more cash than most countries. Apple had over 160 billion in cash in 2024. That's more than the GDP of most nations in Africa and South America.